Alright everybody, welcome to my solo run of the Boss Rush Dungeon. This took me probably about 5 tries, and actually on try number 4, I almost made it through. I was on like a level, I think a level 19 of the dungeon, and I messed up and was trying to dodge an enemy attack, just kind of messing around, and accidentally stepped in the portal that takes you back to the beginning. And once you do that, if you're running solo, you're done. There is no coming back, so basically you got to go back through the whole thing. So I got frustrated, stopped, and started back over. If you watch my other, just kind of introductory one where I just ran through a few of these levels, I didn't have any sound. I got my sound issue fixed, so hopefully you'll actually hear some of the sound effects. Not that there's really anything special about it. But yeah, so this first one's pretty easy. It's your standard ancient golems. So they're pretty easy to dispatch. Actually, the first several levels of this are real easy. And the way this goes is you defeat the enemies, the bosses. It unlocks. You have a chest that includes an enchanting scroll. Each one of these blank enchanting scrolls goes up. It's about every 3 levels approximately. It's not exact, but it's pretty close. This one contains 3 Cyclops. The Cyclops are so easy to defeat. The AI on these guys are pretty horrible. You see they're just kind of standing around. I'm not sure why they're not attacking me, but they're just standing there. So they probably need to fix that, because I think pretty much if you meet those out in the open, they'll come after you and attack you. And as you can see, I'm using my magic build. I'm using my shield plus Siegfried build. I really like this build. It could actually be better. I'm hoping that with the enchanting scrolls, I can get a good enchantment and add a 4th enchantment to my Siegfried. Right now it only has 3 enchantments. It's Kai 99. I just couldn't, I grinded so many of those and never could get the 4 enchants I wanted. So I just stopped at 3 because I already had it, Kai'd pretty high, so I had refined it pretty well. This one is a Hydra. There's monos in here, so I always suggest having that Frost Mine or some type of area effect attack to take care of the smaller mobs that'll be in here so they can't get you. Because you're going to run into that a lot with this dungeon. The other thing about this run, I got extremely lucky, and I don't know if it's a glitch or if it's the timing, but it seems like none of the mini bosses that are supposed to spawn ever spawn. So like your Picomets boss, the lizard, I think it's lizard Guillotine, celestial goblin. There's several spots where they're supposed to spawn in with another big boss, and they never did. So it made this run pretty easy, because I fought, those enemies, those bosses with those other minor mini bosses, and they can cause some havoc, especially like the, I think there's a level where you got 3 celestial goblins, maybe with a reaper, and it's challenging because those goblins cause a lot of damage, and they kind of blind you with their attacks. And they don't do a lot of damage, but they just kind of get in your way, and they'll knock you off while you're trying to cast your spells or, do what you're supposed to do. So it's pretty difficult. I mean, this whole thing would be a lot easier if you've got a group of 3 or 4 people. I mean, even just having another person that can keep one boss distracted, or, maybe if you've got somebody that is a damage dealer along with a magic build, I mean, it might be pretty good. This is another thing that aggravates me, is the dragons get stuck at the top and won't want to come down. It takes a little while. He just keeps flying around up there. Like I said in my previous video, the first time I came into here, I actually thought that the boss glitched and did not spawn because I couldn't find him until I actually looked up and was like, oh, there's a dragon in here. Eventually they will drop down, but it just takes time. There wasn't too many bosses I struggled with. Fenrir gives me a lot of problems just because I use the freeze ray often in the frost mine, and he's pretty much immune to those attacks. He's not completely immune, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, so I usually have to, you know, kind of break up my strategy. There's, I think, one instance of Fenrir in here that I got him pretty quick, and I think I was just lucky. But most of the bosses I did pretty well against. Bone dragons I have a little difficulty, but luckily they start out, you know, on the ground, so I can get in some attack and maybe try to freeze them before they actually get up. And this is why the freeze ray is really good. Once you freeze one enemy, you know, you can switch to another enemy if you've got multiple in a room. You know, here luckily there's just the one, so dispatched him pretty quickly. And that freeze ray spell requires water, so that's why you see me keep generating buckets of water. I kept forgetting to go get more water before I came and did this, so I just got the spell that actually generates it for you. I probably would have been okay without it. Probably would have had plenty of water, but just didn't want to get down to level 25 and, you know, not have it with me. So yeah, single King Mono is not difficult, but you'll see when I get deeper in the dungeon, there's actually one where there's 3 of them. And when you get more than 2, it gets a little dicey. And these dungeons, you know, for those that are looking for refining stones, these are going to be a good place to farm refining stones. Almost every boss is really high level, so they're going to drop the highest grade refining stones. Now here's where you start getting tricky when you've got executioners, lizard gunners. Lizard gunners don't do a lot of damage to me, but they can knock me around and kind of knock me off of what I'm trying to do here with the freeze ray. Like you can see that he's hitting me, but he's not doing a lot of damage, but he's, you know, causing me issues, and I'm trying to, you know, do some other spells just to get me down to one enemy, and then I can focus on him. Because the executioner is, you know, even by himself, he can deal a lot of damage, and he can cause some problems. So that's why I need to get him out of the way quickly, and then start focusing on this lizard gunner. And for those of you that don't know, with this update, most of these bosses you can capture now. So if you've ever wanted your own personal lizard gunner, you can now capture them and have them as a pet. I haven't done it yet, but I plan on trying to work on that because it seems pretty fun. Also, I've heard that if you take the lizard gunner and put it in a livestock farm, it produces gunpowder. So if you're looking to mess around with guns or tanks and, you know, just need a bunch of gunpowder, that's a way to farm a bunch of gunpowder. This one's pretty simple. It's, you know, a Hydra by himself is sometimes difficult. You know, throwing a Tyrant Snake and a bunch of monos, and it can be really challenging. But I've actually had a run through where the Hydra got clipped into the exit door and could not get out, which made him really easy to defeat because he could not do his attacks. He kept trying to figure out a way to get out of the room, but could not do it. This one I kind of messed up. I should have tried to stay a little bit further away, because sometimes if you stay away from the boss, they won't actually come after you. So I struggled with this room a little bit. Luckily with this build, you know, I've got the shield, I've got the ironclad skill active, so my defense is pretty high right now, and you know, so I don't take a lot of damage. There's only a few attacks that some of the bosses can do that can really deal some massive damage. Like I said, Fenrir, he just, I don't know what it is about him, but some of his attacks just deal massive damage. And I've actually seen it, it's happened to me twice. And if you fought him on his icy, you know, on the ice mountain island, he can actually clip you through the map. And that's happened to me twice. He hit me with his area of attack effect, and it clipped me out of the dungeon. And it considered a death. I still think I had health. There's no way he dealt enough damage to get me down. Maybe he did, but it was, yeah, I think it was kind of bogus. Yeah, with the freeze ray, the Griffin's really easy. You can just freeze them real quick before they can do some of their better attacks. See, we're up to a level 5 enchanting scroll, so the levels correspond to better enchants. So the higher level scroll you have, the better enchant you're gonna get. I've seen some pretty good purple enchants so far. And here's my buddy Fenrir. You've got to fight him, I think, 3 times, and he does stuff like that. So basically he's gonna turn that attack back on you, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to knock him out. So that he wasn't that bad, and he did some pretty massive damage to me. But yeah, you've got to be careful with Fenrir, especially if you're running the freezing ray. You may want to try to get Hellblaze. I've never used it on him, but I would assume that Hellblaze would work well against him. But if you use the lightning damage and kind of stun him, then he's pretty easy. But if you're just trying to rely on freezing ray or frost mine, you're gonna struggle. I mean, yeah, they do damage to him, but it's a struggle. It's already up to enchanting scroll 6. And here, there's supposed to be 3 of the field stone golems, and they're considered mini bosses, and they did not spawn in. So this one kind of surprised me, because I understand the Picomet, the celestial goblins, you know, those type of field bosses. When they spawn in, you get a notification, and they only temporarily spawn in. So it made sense that that would happen with those. But the stone golems, you know, they can be in dungeons as they are, and for whatever reason they didn't spawn. And it's not like they were difficult. I can cast Frost Mine and you know, lightning pretty quickly and get rid of them because I'll hit their weak spots. But yeah, they didn't spawn in there, so that dungeon looked really easy. But normally there's 4 enemies in there. This was my strategy here, was to stay away from the Reaper so he wouldn't activate and start doing attacks on me. You can see he's trying to, but he's so far away that it's wasn't doing much damage, and he finally teleported close to me. Got a little confused there. I thought he was in that corner, but he wasn't. He was just one of his magic spells that were still lingering back there. I have to say the Executioner is he's one of my favorite bosses. He's really easy, but I don't know what, it's just the artwork with him is pretty cool. I kind of like him, and the way he gets, you know, fired up and turns like a fire red. The good old Reaper, he's just so magic resistant, it's hard to use magic against him. He is one of the more formidable foes against a magic build. And then he can do that and teleport and get right under you. Which, you know, can make it easy because you can do that. You can drop a lightning ball right where he's going to spawn, or you can drop, you know, the lightning bolts right on top of him. So those are some good strategies to use against a Reaper. Freeze ray works to a point, but somehow he can teleport out of it even if he gets frozen, and it's kind of annoying. But you'll notice that with a freezing ray, you can freeze. I had a dragon that I froze, and he still kept flying. Stone golems, you can freeze them, and they'll still use their beam attack. So the freezing action doesn't always stop the enemy from completely paralyze them, but for the most part, it does. And here is an interesting room. So this is a room full of exploding cows, and if they weren't annoying out in the field as it was, add a King Mono to it and they're even more annoying, because you're trying to attack the King Mono and they just keep running at you and exploding, and they will respawn, and you'll just eventually get close enough to other ones, they'll just keep coming at you just like that. They don't do a lot of damage, but man, it makes it tough. Come on, King Mono, just die already. There we go. And that's pretty cool. I don't know if that's been there the whole time, but I like how you can get gunpowder from these exploding cows. I don't know if that's something new or if that's something that had existed. I've just never seen it. But that's another option for getting gunpowder now, I guess. Watch out for those exit portals. Real easy to just accidentally hit one of those and exit when you're deep into this dungeon. Because honestly, you know, if you're high level, you really only want those good enchants. So if you're already maxed out and you don't need the boss, you know, beating the bosses, you're going to want to get those higher level scrolls is what you're going for. And this is challenging here because all these gunners in the same room kind of make it difficult. I didn't have as much trouble with these, but the couple times I've gone through this one, this has been a challenging area because it's a little difficult because they'll hit you and knock you back. And see, yeah, like that guy over there is knocking me, and luckily I froze him, so decided I was gonna freeze that one and then go after the other one. Probably should have just finished off the other one and then tackled this one one-on-one. Which I guess I did kill him. I thought he was still alive. The one thing that's lacking, I wish they had like a level counter somewhere so that you could, you know, maybe when you go through a portal, it just says, hey, you've completed level blah blah blah. I mean, you can kind of tell from the enchanting scrolls, but they don't always go up consistently in their levels, so it's really hard to tell. You know, some of them, enchanting scroll 8, first 3 levels were 1. At this point I've kind of lost count of where I am. Here's a bone dragon. Like I said, he stays in that, so I'll try to buff up, and you can see I'm not doing much damage to him. I did freeze him, but it does not last long. And actually, you do more damage when he's not in that state. And then when he gets in kind of his enraged state, he can do even more damage, which I guess maybe he's vulnerable while he's in that enraged state. Maybe that's why. And if Fenrir wasn't bad enough, throw in some penguins. And if you've ever messed with penguins, they are absolute jerks. And they suck. Just like that. Luckily, they are pretty docile in this room. I don't know. I think one just slid by me and he missed me. So luckily he missed me while I was trying to do that. But yeah, Fenrir is hard enough as it is, and trying to do it with a room full of penguins is not the easiest task either. This was quite the challenge. I think if they would have really wanted to up it, if they would have put 2 Fenrirs in one room, that would have been difficult to say the least. But I think probably because his attacks are so massive, it probably would have really messed things up to try to put 2 Fenrirs in one room. Up to enchanting scroll 9. I believe 11 is the highest. I think it's 11. So to restore my mana, I use a lot of sauerkraut. So that's one thing that you'll have to watch out for. There is a skill that helps you regenerate mana while you're not in battle. But the problem is that there's rarely a time you can get in an area where it doesn't consider you in battle. So you'll not very often be able to regenerate mana off of that skill. And you saw that dragon just dropped out of the sky because he was flying. If I wouldn't have frozen, this probably would have ended badly. Because this is a, you know, I think I got really lucky and got some good critical hits here or something, because this one was challenging, or it could be challenging. If you aren't ready for this and get a little bit of luck, this one will be tough. But I think I got really lucky on this one. And that's the thing, if you're going to solo this, you're going to need a little luck. You're going to hit some... Like I said, I didn't have the mini bosses to deal with, so that was pure luck. Because most of the times I go in there, they're there. Every other time, I think I maybe had one other chance. There's some Crimson Feces that the dragon dropped. Now we're up to level 10. Did a little buff. I was expecting, I believe, can't remember if the Celestial Goblins or Lizard Guillotine mini bosses are supposed to spawn in here with him. So that's what I was expecting. But it was just the Reaper again. So like I said, I got really lucky, was able to get him, get some critical hits, and get him out real quick. Oh, and another tip for using the water creation spell is if you have Rune Stream. So Rune Stream gives you, if you do consecutive magic spells without getting hit, it increases your, you know, basically your damage rate on those spells. So the water creation goes in with that. So if you do water creation and then heal before you fight, and then maybe another buff, you can already get your Rune Stream up to like level 3 or 4. So that's just another good strategy if you have a magic build. So here's another luck. Like, they're kind of not bothering me, so I'm trying to scoot in so I can get one of them and not the other. But I did trigger the Griffin, so the Griffin's going to come in, but luckily I got Bell frozen quick. Because see, once the Griffin starts doing that, you know, I froze it, but once he starts getting his big attacks going, he's going to knock you out. He's going to do things to you that's not going to make this very fun for you. And there, I'm slow. So, like, I can imagine if he did slow and she did confusion, I don't know if it can do the same, if he can get both at the same time, but that would be awful. Confusion's bad enough as it is. Slow is bad enough as it is. But if you had both of them on you, it's not going to be a good day for you. And I left a lot of loot because I've got so much stuff, and I'm not really looking for any of this stuff. Most of the stuff they've dropped, I've already gotten. I believe they added some new enchants with this update, so I've got to dig a little deeper into that. But right now, I think maybe some of the mini bosses, they added some that I haven't seen before, so looking for that. Oh, here it is. Mono, Imano, the King Mono clan. And I really thought at first when I had this one, I'm like, oh, this is going to go really good. But I made a mistake in not finishing off that first one, which is what I should have done. Because when they keep doing that stuff, they can knock you down and mess your plan of attack up real quick. That's why I try to get the frost mine out to kind of trap them in that frost mine a little bit. And that gives me some time to kind of line up and hopefully isolate one of them. And that's the strategy you have to think. Even though Frost Mine doesn't always do a lot of damage, I mean it does, but when they're high level like this, it's not doing, relatively, it's not doing that much damage. It's more of a strategy. Like you want to get them, trap them, isolate the enemy. You know, if you're playing solo, you've got to figure out creative ways to beat these bosses. You know, if you're playing with a group of friends, it's easy. You can say, okay, so-and-so, you're going to go get, you know, the King Mon on the left, somebody's going to get the one on the right, someone's going to get the middle, or you can get the Bell Fleur, you know, and somebody else can get the Hydra, or whatever the boss may be. It's just, it's easier if you're multiplayer, but when you're solo, you've got to get creative. You got to figure out ways to isolate an enemy, and that way you can focus on one enemy at a time. You know, I really thought about trying to do this with my attack build, but because my attack build relies on Ice Slash, it's going to be real hard to isolate. I mean, basically I have to try to do Ice Slash and then just run away as much as I can and then come back. Till I can get a build that's a little bit better, like a muscular build or something that I can do constant attacks. It's gonna be challenging. So here's a Crimson Dragon and a Bone Dragon. Luckily, the Bone Dragon will stay asleep until you get close enough to it. If he didn't, this would have been another challenging battle. Yeah, I got freaked out when he came out of the ice. I thought I had not killed him. Now, I'm telling you right now, there's some major experience points going on this. So if you're not level 60 and you think you can handle it, even if you can't, I would suggest just coming here and using it as a boss farm. You know, especially going through the first couple levels. You know, they may kill you a couple times, but it's going to give you some experience points as you kill those first few levels, because they're all over level 100, and it's just a good way to get experience points and level up. And you can complete some of those quests, the aim for a higher gold quest, by just defeating some of these bosses in these dungeons. Once again, my good old buddy Fenrir. I think they knew what they were doing when they put him in here. Definitely a challenging enemy. And I got so lucky there because I got a critical hit. I don't know why I struggle. I mean, like I said, I think it's just because I use a freezing ray and he's kind of immune to frost attacks. But so here you go, Lizard, Gunner, Griffin. So close to getting that dude, the Gunner, down quick, which would have been good. Finally got him with that Frost Mine. Got the Griffin down now, so now I just gotta... I think I got him and I didn't even know I got the Executioner. I guess he must have died whenever I got the lightning bolt down, or lightning ball down. I believe the next one is the final one. You'll keep going through this and you'll keep thinking, man, I've got to be almost done, but there's 25 levels. So if you can keep your own tally, you'll know. Oh, so I guess it went up to 13 is the highest level. Thought it was 11, but yeah, so this is the last level. There's 3 dragons and this is one amazing battle. I had many times I thought I was going to die. And it's kind of funny that they start flying in unison, but they eventually break off. And you can see here why this is difficult, because they're just fireballing the feces out of me pretty much. I mean, it's... I didn't know. I was so excited that I've made it to this round. I was so excited and it's like freaking out because I was trying to determine what strategy I was going to use to defeat him. And then you get into that, which luckily they weren't doing much damage to me. And I'm getting some amazing critical hits right there. I mean, you see the level of these dragons. They're challenging, but it's fun. I really wish they would have put a Dark Anubis and maybe some other things, you know, in there with Dark Anubis as the final chamber. They may add that. I mean, like I've said previously, it feels a little unpolished, like maybe they're going to add some more to it. I hope they got a formula down where they can add things to it and maybe randomize the enemies. But you can see how hectic this is right here. And could you imagine if they threw in a Dark Anubis in there with this? That would be so awesome. And there it is, folks. My solo run of the boss rush dungeon. Like I said, this was maybe my fifth. I don't remember if it's my fourth or fifth. It might have been my sixth. I don't remember. So this actually goes up to 14. And then you've got your standard treasure room at the end. So nothing special here. This is just like any other dungeon. I felt like they should have done something special here if you made it all the way to the end. I don't know what. Maybe it should have given you a Slate of Evolution too with the Slate of Growth. Maybe an additional chest or something. Maybe some chest on the side. I felt like they could add it a little bit, but it is what it is. But there it is. It's achievable. You can solo this thing by yourself. You may need a little bit of luck, but I think even with an even better build, even if I had those additional mini bosses in there, I could have done this. I've made it pretty far with the mini bosses in there. I made it to level 19 before, so I think I could do it. It just probably going to take me a couple more tries. All right, everybody. Well, that's all I've got for today. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it. And if you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching.